Hi, and welcome to another Enthusiastic Steve video. I'd like to firstly say thank you very much indeed for all those who have subscribed to my channel over the last few months. It's most welcome to see. Actually, helps boost my morale and helps me through these hard lockdown times as we currently speak. We're in lockdown 2 here in the UK. And hope everybody is well and keeping safe wherever you are in the world watching these videos. So what's this video about? Well, I've had a little play with one of the digital modes, the FT8. FT8 has been around now for a few years. It's become very, very popular across the world, and it's especially useful to us, the new Foundations license holders. Here in the UK, a Foundations license holder is only allowed to transmit on 10 watts, and that does give us limitations, especially with the propagation as poor as it has been. But digital modes will go to places where voice USB just will not. Same power, 10 watts or less. So today I did a little bit of an experiment. I set up a temporary mobile FT8 transmitting station. I drove to one of my favourite popular seafront locations, and as you recall in the past, I have done a video about how great the seafront is, the salt water, in aiding the boosting of your signals to get them to go further. So I thought I'd give it a go, but I thought I'd compare it with a hilltop, because they always say height is might. So the higher you are, the further your signal can travel. Might only apply to VHF, UHF, but does it apply to HF? Well, I set up the car, say with a Linko transmitter, Ampro quarter wave whip antenna, bit of a compromise antenna by a lot of people's standards, but it works. And I parked down the seafront. I sent 4 bursts of FT8 data on the 20-meter band. I then drove to a nearby hillside location, about 400 feet above sea level, and repeated the process. And this little short video shows you what the results were, and I think you'll find they were pretty amazing, especially for just the 10-watt transmission. And it really does give encouragement to anybody out there on low power, all the newbies, new people, etc. Gives you a lot of encouragement what you can achieve on this low power setting. You don't need large burners, you don't need large antenna arrays. This was a compromise antenna, and the results will speak for themselves. So sit back and enjoy. You join me at one of my favourite seafront locations, Hillhead, just south of Fareham, overlooking the Solent, and you can see in the distance there the lovely Isle of Wight. To the east we have Portsmouth and Leon Solent over that way. Swinging it around 180 degrees. We've got plenty of water and marshlands behind us, which is at Birdhaven. So we've got a few miles of Solent there crossing to the Isle of Wight, and we've got the waterway that leads to the mountain, the Fairport and over that way 6,000 miles is South America. Right, we've got back inside the car now. It's a little bit breezier than I'd hoped for this morning. Lovely sunny morning. It's crisp, but there's a bit of a wind there. It's an onshore breeze. It's probably gusting around 20-25 mile an hour. And I was hoping this morning to actually use my full-size quarter wave 20-meter antenna. It's about 16 feet tall. Not going to be able to do that this morning because of the wind conditions, but I am using the Ampro whip. Now, it goes by lots of other names, but it's basically stainless steel whip with a coil base, and about 7 foot long, much more sturdier. It stands up to stronger winds than 20 mile an hour. It's sat on top of the car at the moment on a triple mag mount, and I'm going to be playing some FT8. Now we're going to use the 20-meter band. We're going to be putting 10 watts out through the Linko radio, which I'll show you in a minute, set up on my dashboard, and I'm just going to try it to see how the propagation is this morning. It's approximately around about 11 o'clock here in the Britain. That's a GMT. And there's a sea to my left, as I've shown in the video just now. Tide's out a little bit, but this water is only about 100 feet away. And to my other side, there's marshland. So I'm in a fairly wet area. I do get some really good results. And as have you seen in previous videos about using the sea to your advantage, salt water. It does boost the signal, especially when you're using low power, well, even any power, but low power, it really does boost your signal. And we'll see what results we get a little bit later back at home using PSK Reporter. Also, after this, what I tend to do is to go onto a hilltop, and we'll compare the two. Now, the hill's approximately about 6 miles away from here, 400 feet high. I'm going to use the same antenna, same radio, same frequency, and it's going to probably be about 45 minutes apart. So the propagation is not going to change that much, but it'll be a great comparison to see seafront versus hilltop. So let's go. I have shown this radio before in my car, but for those who have not seen it before in previous videos, it's an Elinco DX8, and I've got the front panel mounted on the dashboard, made up some brackets which slot into the CD holder, and then the little pop-out trays on my dashboard support the rest of the weight. Works a treat. The cables running into the boot, into the main body, are all shielded, and it tends to work very well. I've got it set, as you can see, on the low power. The low power setting on these radios is 10 watts, so absolutely ideal for the UK Foundation license holders to get onto HF and have a play. And as I say, this FT8 mode is absolutely fantastic at reaching those countries that you don't normally reach using voice. So what we're going to do now is send out a couple bursts of FT8 on the 14.074 upper sideband. Interesting thing with FT8 is, regardless of the band you're on, it's always the mode. FT8 always uses upper sideband, not lower sideband. Even down on the 80 meters and 40 meters, it's upper sideband for FT8. A lot of people get called out for that when they start out, so there's a little useful tip for those who are getting into it. So we're going to send some signals out, and then we're going to depart from here, go up to a hilltop and try the same again. Go back to the home location and then see the results. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you me sending out the burst of FT8 because this is a little bit of a temporary setup I've got in the car at the moment. So what I'm doing is I'm using audio of FT8 transmission with my call sign encoded into the FT8 signal, and I'm playing it via my phone into the microphone. Now, this is far from ideal, but it works and it's great for test purposes. So I will do that and see you in a minute. That's the unmistakable sound of FT8 being received on the radio. It sends out an approximately 15-second little burst, and there's a gap, and then another 15 seconds. So your radio, if it's connected up correctly, let's say you're doing it via a computer and some software, it would transmit, it would listen, it would transmit, it would listen, and that gives you the opportunity to actually respond to those who are hearing your signal. But for this experiment, we're just going to send the signal, which I've done. I've sent 4 bursts of FT8, 10 watts via the Ampro on top of the mag mount, triple mag mount on top of the car. So that's that done. And say some really strong signals coming in as we're right by the seafront, and we've got very low noise levels, which does help. So we're going to pack up here and drive to the next location on top of my favourite hill. Now, unfortunately, I had to dub over the original soundtrack for this clip. Here we are on top of Portsdown Hill, but the wind was blowing so strongly you couldn't hear my voice over the microphone. So Portsdown Hill, 400 feet above sea level, central southern UK, looking out there across towards the Solent and the Isle of Wight, Southampton to the right, and Portsmouth directly in front of you, Chichester to the left, and Portsmouth Harbour's there in the distance. Good outlook, good takeoff, etc. Behind is a good deal of countryside. We've got the Butser Hill, South Downs, etc. So again, another good takeoff area to the north. 400 foot above sea level, like I said. Quite a bit of traffic this afternoon and some threatening clouds, but a good point, a good place to work from. So you join me again in somewhere a little bit quieter at the moment, and back inside the car, and I'll tell you what, it's freezing cold. Well, exaggerate a little bit, not quite freezing cold, but it's cold. There's a wind chill there today. So we're about an hour. It took me a little bit longer than expected to get up here due to roadworks and traffic on the way, but we're up on Portsdown Hill. I'm going to continue to do this exactly the same test. I've even orientated the car to face the same direction, just in case we're getting RF lobes, favourable RF lobes in a certain direction off the car. The car is facing the same direction as it was down at the seafront. Using the same antenna, the Ampro, same frequency, 14.074 upper sideband. FT8 is the mode, same power, 10 watts, 4 burst, and then we'll see how we go. So again, unfortunately I couldn't show you the test because the audio was on the phone, which I'm also using to record. But there's the radio there, all set up and running. It's receiving nicely again, FT8 here on top of the hill. I'm not quite sure, I have to just compare the signal strength if we're actually receiving it any stronger or not. Now, it'd be interesting to see, does the seawater being close to it act as a better reflector and give us a different angle of takeoff? Or does the advantage of this hill, it's only 400 feet, so a modest hill, but 400 the feet nevertheless, does that takeoff give us extra distance? The propagation conditions, okay, about an hour apart, so not going to be dramatically different. So it'd be good to compare. So in a minute, we're going to have a drive back, turn on the PSK reporter, type in my call sign, and we'll have a look to see where those nice little FT8 signals actually ended up. So at home with the computer on and PSK reporter, I'm going to start off in reverse order. This is the Hilltop location, showing contacts into Canada, across Europe, into Russia, and down just onto the north-western side of Africa. 77 contacts in all, the furthest being 3,504 miles away. Now, one interesting thing to note is the closest contact was at 569 miles away in Italy. That was the closest contact it made there from the Hilltop location, nothing closer. But like I say, it's a good spread, and it is definitely pushing out to the south and into the Atlantic. Now we overlay the information from the seafront, where we made 102 contacts compared to 77 contacts from the hill. But if you look closely, look down to the bottom right, we've hit Australia. 10,603 miles on 10 watts. So there you go. If you look again into Russia, we've gone slightly further as well. So seafront wins by a long shot. The other interesting thing to note is the fact that the closest contact was only 30 miles away. So the seafront signals were going out across the water, and about 30 and 60 miles there were quite a few contacts being made, as well as the long distance ones. We also managed to get back into Canada and America, similar to the Hilltop location. But as you can see, we've hit some nice shiny patches of atmosphere there. So nothing too scientific. It's a little bit Heath Robinson, as they say here in the UK, but a good test nevertheless to demonstrate Hilltop versus the seafront. And in this instance, the seafront won outright, 10,000 plus miles into Western Australia. I was mind blown again, the expression I've used before, but every day's a learning day, and it makes me enthusiastic. It makes, hopefully, sharing this with others will get especially the new people joining there and getting a little bit bogged down sometimes with when they go on to the weekend to HF and there's a contest to running, and their 10 watts are like getting bogged down with all the big power stations out there and not getting too far. Don't get despondent. Try other things. Say the FT8, just one of many digital modes. It's a high-tech CW really, but it's just one of various modes out there. It's simple to get onto. It doesnn't cost a lot of hardly any money really. If you've got a computer and that, you can link your a few cables. You can link up your radio, HF radio, to it and do it properly, or you can have a quick test and play like I did. But try it. You'll be surprised how far you can get. 77 contacts, I think it was on the Hilltop, and over 100 on the seafront. So it can be quite addictive actually. FT8. I know a lot of people moan about FT8. Is it it's a proper type of radio? I like talking to people. I do a lot of voice voice sideband, so you know, I will always do that. But it's nice to have a little try of something else, and hope you enjoy the video. So stay safe. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already to see, or just see some of my other videos. Add comments. I always respond to comments where I can, and look forward to seeing you all in the future. Share as well. Please share these, because again, the more people get subscribed and the more they're shared, it helps. So thank you very much indeed. This has been Enthusiastic Steve saying 73s, and stay safe.